In this video, we are going to be installing a brand new piston sleeve for the F5.9 by HPI Racing. I tried to find a Force one because this engine is the same thing like a Force, or Forks makes engines for HPI now since they're out of business, so it was hard to find one. So had to bite the bullet and buy this piston and sleeve with a connecting rod and everything. I think I paid like $117 on HRP or whatnot. Yes, it does sound expensive, but I mean I couldn't find it anywhere else. And here's the part number. And if I recall, ended up with this engine overheating incident that happened, a couple months ago when I was in the Seguin at the Monster Truck Wars. Went a little bit in crackhead mode, and the engine was breathing at its last. Regardless, we're going to take it out. Okay, so got the engine out. We can see on the overheating issue, y'all can see it. The crack in the braze and the dry rotted of this little donut that connects to the manifold. So it never hurts to change for a new one. I'm going to keep this out because I'm not sure if I'm going to need to heat up the engine to remove the sleeve. Okay. Going to remove 4 screws that holds in the recoil, or the pull star, whatever you want to call it. I tell you what, this engine makes lots of power if you get the tuning just right. Gonna re-break it in with this new piston sleeve setup. Going to break it in the right way. I'm gonna see if I can rescue the piston sleeve from this F5.9, because I was kind of like a little bit in the crackhead mode at the show. After the rear end or rear toe link broke off, was making my Savage Drive funny. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna launch the shit out of it, and it was cool, but the run didn't last long. Cause then y'all saw in the video that the engine was overheating, and that ain't no bueno. Check to see if we still have turnover, or it still turns over, and yes, the one-way bearing is still fine. Now, I'll suggest you leaving the back plate on, and I'll show y'all why in just a minute. And now we're gonna take off the head, which is 4 screws and a 2.5 mil. Now, invest in getting some more proper tools, like using one of those cheaper. I mean, they're probably gonna work just fine, but what I'm talking about, using those cheaper metric hex tools. But what can happen is that if you come across to some screws that are a little bit tight, then you can actually break your screwdrivers. This happened to me a little while ago when I was starting the hobby. I was a cheapskate, and being a cheapskate is no bueno. Actually, being a cheapskate is more expensive than spending on the right tools for the right job. Okay, is out. Knock it out just like that. Man, it's such a shame that I scratched this nice CNC cooling head. Okay, we're gonna pop up the button. Here's the button head. Okay, that's the end of the head shims. I'm gonna have to go to my parts box and to get some more shims, cause no, last time I took out 2 shims to bump up the compression ratio, but you know what? I don't know what condition I feel like there's no compression at all. I mean, there's still some left, but how much is there left? So this is the trick I always use, and it always works. Give me a second. Actually, let me pause there so y'all don't have to record the quietness. All right, so these are the tools I use. I just use like a spare zip tie and a crescent or adjustable wrench. So make sure the piston is at the bottom of that center. Slip that sucker through. And we're going to use the one-way bearing to push it up. Now, I don't like grabbing by the flywheel. I mean, sometimes now you can grab it by the flywheel if your engine doesn't have a pull starter and just just a standard backplate. Let's say on your average racing 21 engine. So, all right, we're gonna push it just like that, and it's popped right out. Don't know why my video is automatically going to dark mode, which is annoying. Okay, can we go back down? Yes, we can go back down. Okay, so you can try and pull it the rest of the way by hand. Now I'm gonna use some metal pliers. Now I know what I'm doing. If you don't know what you're doing, then get one of those plastic pry tools you find at your auto parts store or on eBay. Get the engine lined up, and you add some leverage on both of them. It should pop out the sleeve a little bit more. But yeah, no, I'm gonna do it right now. Hang on. Okay, well I gotta anyway. I don't know why my video is going into dark mode automatically. I don't know what's with my camera, but I'm sorry if it's doing that to y'all, because then y'all can see it properly, because I can see it through my screen. It's automatically going to dark mode. Doesn't make any sense. Okay, let's put these tools away because we don't need them anymore. Down there. Okay, now we can take off the back plate. Yeah, now since Force engines is not out of business, I don't know what HPI is gonna do. I'm not sure if they're going to find like a different engine manufacturer to continue on this legacy, this nitro legacy, maybe with SH or something. I hope they do, because SH makes some really good engines, and if they can come out with not an F, but with an S5.9, holy smokes, it's gonna be one hell of a badass engine, probably even more powerful than LRP32. And yes, and for guys who don't know, an LRP32 is a Force engine. Is an SH engine, excuse me. Okay, let the piston out. Yoink. Now I'm gonna check the bearings. On the crankcase bearings, they still sound nice and smooth, so we're good on that. I'm gonna check for any damage. I'm gonna check for any damage of the piston, because it did overheat it. Looks fine so far. Let's check the compression. Oh yeah, and that's the consequences of overheating your engine. We lost pinch right there. So I think this piston sleeve is salvageable. So we're probably going to reuse this. I'm probably going to send this off to RB Mod, so that way he can, repinch and maybe modify it as well. It's gonna be pretty badass. And also, let's say if you still have some pinch left, let's say somewhere here, but if you see this gap opening right here, then your engine is still gonna run, maybe at a higher RPM, but you're gonna lose bottom end. And on your Savage or your other nitro monster truck, you're like launching really hard to pop a wheelie, and it won't. Doesn't matter if you change the clutches, the gearing still wouldn't pull wheelie. You're like, what the hell, man? I changed everything, and how come it's not pulling wheelies? Well, this is why, because your piston is almost over at the top dead center, and there's an opening right here. Now, does not go up all the way, because you have the head button right here, but you have to think about it. When metal heats up, metal expands, right? So when it heats up, it's gonna warm up. And that's why we gotta warm up the engine so that way it can, run at its optimal performance. Well, right now we're talking about, if the rear of the skirt is already, saying peekaboo at the opening right here, well, gotta send your engine to get repinched or buy a new piston sleeve. It depends. Now, if the upper wrist pin, we gotta make sure that the upper wrist pin is good, because if there's no up and down play, then this engine is good to be repinched and stuff. So, looks like we have not damaged the piston sleeve, which is good. But for the sake of it, or for the sake of this video, we'll be installing a new piston sleeve, because, why not? So then I'm going to salvage this one. I'm still going to keep it, but, or I'm going to reuse it. So I'm probably going to get it. Now, I can repinch it, but, I've done a couple of repinching mistakes. So I'm going to send it up to a professional to get this done, and probably modify it as well. So now we're going to open up this fresh piston sleeve. Now, what I recommend you guys do, because sometimes, not all time, but sometimes, it just feels really nice. The tolerance is tight. Oh yeah, look at that. She is tight, boys. That's what we want. Now, I'm going to check to see if both the E-clips are in correctly. So we're going to right in front of, I can't talk, right in front of the camera. Just make sure the clip is seated on both sides, because we don't want a catastrophic failure. We ever don't want that. Because if it does, what can happen is that the E-clip can, curl itself out, then, can get caught between the piston sleeve and, well, rest in peace your engine. We do not want that. And that's going to be no bueno with everything capital. Okay, looks like we're good. Let me get a fresh towel to clean it up. Not gonna lie, I'm actually gonna need a new mat. Again, here's the part number. I don't know how. I think HPI has stocked up on all the force engine parts, and also including the force engines for their RTR nitros. I think, or I hope, that they'll find another nitro engine manufacturer to start producing engines for their RTR vehicles and replacement parts. And as I said earlier, if HPI collaborates or collides with SH engines, if they make an S5.9, holy crap, this is gonna be one hell of a fucking badass engine. I can guarantee that. If that's an if, but right now we don't know. Forgot to mention, on the force engines, this little pin just popped out, and there's a spring inside. This what's it called again? Well, let's just say the crankshaft. You don't want to lose that, because over here the pin rides on this one-way shaft right here. Is more like a ramped up slide. Basically, these force engines are known to be a little bit more lower RPM engines, because this is technically causing friction, but as long as everything is lubricated, it'll be fine. But nonetheless, now let's assemble it. Let's get my oil, or my mix of ATF and engine oil. This crappy Tractor Supply one, which doesn't pump out well. Okay. Once again, this is a mix of automatic transmission fluid and 5W30 synthetic oil. Seriously, guys, don't do that. That's really inappropriate. Anyway, hopefully I don't get demonetized. Okay, we're going to drop it in. Just like that. Okay, don't catch the piston. Like don't let the connecting rod smash against the crankshaft, because then it's going to be the end of the world. Now I'm not going to grab it. I'm just going to pick it up gently with the pliers and just guide it to the crankshaft. And we want to oil that nice and smooth. Holy crap, I don't know why my video is darkening, guys, but that's so annoying. I am so sorry for that. Man, I would need to invest for some new camera gear. Okay, now we're going to install this new sleeve. Okay, make sure everything's lined up correctly, because we don't want everything to be misaligned, because if you pay attention right here, there's a notch. And there's a little pin right here that lines up with a notch. So we're going to put it down. Oh boy, this is going to be very tight. Oh boy. Okay. Uh-oh. This is very tight. Good grief. Okay, well, 1 second. This is going to take a little while. Okay, so we're in this situation. Now, I already put it back the back plate on. Basically, you just can put it back in, because as I mentioned earlier, the pin, yes, I already put the pin back in, but you gotta be very careful, because the pin, it can just pop out, and then you can lose it, and then it's gonna be no bueno for everybody. Anyway, so in this situation, I couldn't get the sleeve all the way back in, because it's misaligned just a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. So what we're going to do is that we're going to use the same trick like we used earlier. Now let me get my other tools besides the plier. Besides. Anyway. Okay. These are the pry tools I was talking about. So we're going to use them, but first we're going to pop it out. Once again, the same trick like we used. So it was fitting that zip tie in. This technique will work with any nitro engine that has a pull starter, even with your Traxxas engine as well. Okay. We'll pop it that sucker back up. There we go. Bring it sucker back down. Just like that. Okay, let's see if I can lift it up. It's just misaligned just a little bit, so. I'm going to guide it with the pliers nice and carefully. Okay, gonna line it up. can be tricky sometimes to line it up. It can be. Piston up. Bring it back down just for good measure. And the tolerance on this engine is very tight. Yeah, y'all heard that? Y'all heard that little click? Because that was the pin that that clicked against the plating on the shaft that turns over the engine. Now, yes, I do have the piston line up. Be sure before you force the sleeve back down, because if you do, or what's gonna happen is that if you don't do that, then you're gonna damage the piston, and it's gonna be a living nightmare. Trust me. Don't make that mistake. Just please don't. It's not worth it. I don't know why the sleeve decides to turn just a little bit when it goes down. Doesn't make any sense to me at all. So I'm gonna try to. There we go. Make some adjustments. Are lined up. I'm eyeballing it and just turn a little bit more. Make sure you have something to grip, just like some paper towels. Okay. Now, up to the side again, and the piston has fallen back down. So let's line it up again. SpaghettiOs. There we go. Perfect. And just like that. Oh, man. Y'all hear that click? Now, you see that little rings forming? That's the pinch zone. Sometimes people freak out like some sleeves on the brand new piston sleeves. Sometimes people freak out when the sleeve lifts up and they're like, "Hey, it wasn't supposed to do that." Yes, it was, because this is like a tapered seal. This engine does not use piston rings for compression. Basically, on the upper side of the sleeve is tapered, because that's what seals the compression, and that's what makes more power out of your engine. So yeah, it's just gonna be a braking process. Let me just put everything back, and I'll be back in a second. All right, assembly time. What am I going to do with this discoloration? I'm going to leave it the way how it is. As long as it's in perfect shape, besides the discoloring, it should be fine. So we're going to put the head button back on, like so. Oh, this is going to be a pain in the butt to turn over this engine once we put the head back on. Now I have something. I'm not going to put back a pull starter, so I bought this HPI's latest rotor start called the Rotor Start 3, and holy smokes, with a 5,000 milliamp battery, it turns over high compression engines like if it's nothing. Like it's crazy. I'm gonna show y'all in just a bit. There's nothing wrong with the Rotor Start 2, but man, there's just something about the Rotor Start 3 is like way more powerful than the Rotor Start 2 with a 5,000 milliamp nickel metal hydride. Now people will be, I know there's probably gonna be some comments. Why can't you use LiPo? Well, here's the thing: LiPo is more powerful, but The problem is that lipos can catch on fire, and I don't want to burn myself in the blaze of glory in case of the lipo decides to puff up and blow itself up on me. And I don't need third-degree burns. I don't want that. Now, if there's a company out there that can make like a low voltage protection circuit board for something like that, then yes, I'll absolutely run lipos to a rotor start engine to use on my rotor start engines. Now we're gonna do a crisscross pattern little by little. We don't want to crank it down because then it's gonna lead it off to the side on for the head button, and we do not want that because it can hurt something. I don't know